Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Bill Thomas and here's a preview of some of today's stories. Weather forecasters say Californians can look forward to a drier April. The break in the rain comes as the state receives several back-to-back storms. California lawmakers approved the country's first penalty for high gas prices. The new law will set profit caps on the state's oil industry. And Disney joins the growing number of tech companies that have laid off thousands of staff. The company says this week is just the first round of layoffs. After being hit by back-to-back atmospheric rivers this winter, most of the state will see drier weather in the coming month. Forecasters predict that April will be drier than average.
Meteorologists anticipate a drier month for California in April. This is according to a recent forecast released by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Climate Prediction Center. While the unprecedented precipitation created many problems for California, including flooding, mud and rock slides, and power outages, it also lifted most of the state out of a years-long drought. Moving forward, the forecast shows that April will be drier than average. Clara Nemeth from the Department of Water Resources said these wild weather patterns that take the state from very, very dry to very, very wet back to dry creates a new set of challenges for water management. Now that 99% of the San Francisco Bay Area and 64% of California is drought-free, the break in the rain is welcomed by many. Michael Strader, a resident from San Luis Obispo County, told the Epoch Times, "My property was flooded. The wind and rain knocked down my electricity, and it took me several days to fix it myself since I'm not in PG&E's service area." But Strader and his family were able to make some happy memories when it snowed in his area. He said, "This is the first time I ever got to make a snowman in my yard with my kids, and they loved it." Strader added that he's excited about the prospect of less rain.
California has become the first state to place penalties on oil companies. The move will restrict companies from making excessive profits in the state.
Joined by legislators, state officials, and community leaders, Newsom signed Senate Bill X1-2 into law earlier today. The bill allows the California Energy Commission to restrict refineries from making excessive profits within the state. Newsom says this will help set a maximum profit margin for refiners and impose a price gouging penalty if companies exceed the maximum margin. The move comes after the state assembly passed SB 2 yesterday in a 52-19 vote with a handful of members abstaining. Assemblymember Jasmeet Bains, who represents part of oil-producing Bakersfield, was the lone Democrat who voted no. She later wrote on Twitter, "I will never throw my constituents under the bus." The bill was proposed by Democratic State Senator Nancy Skinner, and according to the California Energy Commission, it is intended to stop prices from spiking. During a February special session, Energy Commissioner Siva Gunda had said that the proposal of SB 2 could provide more transparency into refinery operations. But opposers of the bill said the penalty would have serious ramifications for market prices and would further strain supply and fuel markets. On Monday, AAA recorded the average price per gallon hit an average of $4.82 a gallon in California, which is the highest in the nation.
And a bill seeking to legalize psychedelic drugs is back. The idea was first introduced by Senator Scott Wiener and ultimately voted down in 2021. But now the same state senator is introducing a new bill that seeks to legalize a similar but shorter list of psychedelic and hallucinogenic drugs found in plants and psychoactive mushrooms.
Senate Bill 58, authored by State Senator Scott Wiener, would legalize the non-commercial, personal use of specified controlled substances. This includes, quote, "for the purposes of group counseling and community-based healing." In a virtual conference on Tuesday, members of the California Narcotic Officers Association, CNOA, and California Coalition Against Drugs, CCAD, spoke out against the bill.
So CNOA sincerely urges our California legislatures to unequivocally reject this bill. It does not make sense.
According to SB 58, drug prohibition has failed to deter drug use, adding that the criminalization of drug use has created an underground market with difficult-to-verify dosages. Supporters say that some psychedelics have potential therapeutic use, but others are concerned SB 58 will be a first step in legalizing all drugs in California, aggravating crime.
Allowing for social sharing or supported use is effectively giving the drug dealers a built-in defense.
There's a difference between decriminalization and legalization. I'm not in favor of incarcerating people for simple drug possession, but that's a far different request than increasing and promoting drug use.
It would make lawful the possession, preparation, and transfer of specified quantities of psilocybin, the active chemical in magic mushrooms, for personal use or facilitated use for people 21 years old or older. The list includes a number of other Schedule I drugs. NTD reached out to Senator Wiener's office for comment, but didn't hear back by airtime. On March 21st, the bill passed in a 3-1 vote with one abstention. It now heads to the Committee on Appropriations. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
As one bill makes its way through the legislature, another bill's journey comes to an end. A bill that would have reclassified sex trafficking as a violent felony in the state of California has been blocked by the Assembly. 6 Democrats had voted against the bill.
Earlier this month, Assembly Bill 229 was blocked by the legislature's Assembly Committee on Public Safety. The bill, authored by Assemblyman Joe Patterson, would have reclassified sex trafficking as a violent felony in the state. But all 6 Democratic Assembly members voted against the bill. The measure would have expanded the 3 strikes law to include sexual crimes, human trafficking, and felony domestic violence. Patterson says, quote, "Current California law has become too lenient on some of the most atrocious crimes." But Assemblyman Reggie Jones-Sawyer, who voted against the bill, disagrees. He says, quote, "What you're proposing is a back-to-the-future kind of thing, where we did 3 strikes. That's how we got to overcrowding in the prisons." Jones-Sawyer says the bill was an attempt to revive the state's 3 strikes mentality.
A rare beetle species that hasn't been seen in 55 years was named after former California Governor Jerry Brown after one was found on his ranch. University of California, Berkeley reported that university entomologist Kipling Will found the beetle while sampling for insects near Freshwater Creek on Brown's ranch. UC Berkeley says the beetle is about 5 millimeters long and glows with a green and gold metallic shimmer under magnification. Brown's 2,500-acre ranch is about an hour north of Sacramento in Colusa County, California. And Disney is laying off thousands this week. Like many other big tech companies, it's trying to cut costs.
Disney began laying off 7,000 employees on Monday, as announced earlier this year. According to a letter CEO Bob Iger sent to employees and seen by Reuters, the company is trying to control costs and create a more, quote, streamlined business. Several major divisions of the company, Disney Entertainment, Disney Parks, Experiences and Products, and Corporate, will be impacted. ESPN is not impacted yet, but is anticipated to be included in later rounds. The Burbank Entertainment conglomerate announced in February that it would eliminate 7,000 jobs as part of an effort to save $5.5 billion in costs and make its money-losing streaming business profitable. Iger wrote, "The difficult reality of many colleagues and friends leaving Disney is not something we take lightly." Iger said Disney would begin notifying the first group of employees who are impacted by the workforce reductions over the next 4 days. A second larger round of job cuts will happen in April with, quote, several thousand more staff reductions. The final round will start before the beginning of the summer.
We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. Gordon Moore, the co-founder of Intel, has passed away. A technology expert recounts Moore's legacy in Silicon Valley. A migrating gray whale was recently spotted off the coast of Southern California, and the massive animal just kept swimming, despite missing an important body part. And a fashion designer debuted her new spring collection during Los Angeles Fashion Week. A-listers attended the big event to see the new designs and support a local nonprofit. That and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Bill Thomas. Gordon Moore, the Intel Corporation co-founder, has died at age 94. A technology expert recounts his influence and legacy in Silicon Valley.
Gordon Moore passed away Friday at his home in Hawaii, according to Intel and the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation. Moore held a PhD in chemistry and physics, is best known for his famous observation now known as Moore's Law, 3 years before he helped to start Intel in 1968. A professor of engineering reflected on Moore's contributions to the tech industry.
Moore's Law is a law that is well known in the industry, respected in the industry. It was, envisioned in 1965, and the whole thing about it is the number of the transistor will double every 2 years, and the cost will go down by half. And this law being tested again and again and again.
Moore became Intel's chief executive in 1975. His tenure as CEO ended in 1987, though he remained chairman and chairman emeritus until 2006. Moore later became known for his philanthropy when he and his wife established the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation. It focuses on environmental conservation, science, patient care, and projects in the San Francisco Bay Area. The organization has donated more than $5.1 billion to charitable causes since its founding in 2000. Despite his wealth and acclaim, Moore remained known for his modesty. In 2005, he referred to Moore's Law as a lucky guess that got a lot more publicity than it deserved.
So Gordon Moore is somebody who has a vision, and he shared it with everybody. The most important thing about him, and this is what I tell my students, is he's a humble person. He was a humble person. He never looked for fame. He never looked for the spotlight. You go to meetings, you're going to see he's standing, by himself, and you approach him, he's going to open up with you.
Gordon Moore is survived by his wife of 50 years, Betty, sons Kenneth and Stephen, and 4 grandchildren.
House Republicans recently gathered for the annual retreat to discuss pressing issues the country currently faces. During the discussions, threats from the Chinese Communist Party became a main focus. California Representative and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy urging the Senate to form a CCP-focused committee similar to the one in the House. NTD's Jason Blair has the report.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy urged the Senate to form a committee focused on China and the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, similar to the House Select Committee on China that was formed in January.
I would hope that the Senate would create a similar committee.
The comments came during a press conference on March 21st in Florida during the annual House Republican retreat. Alongside him were House Representatives Burgess Owens and Ashley Hinson.
China is one of the greatest threats facing our country. I believe it's the issue of my generation and of many generations, because if we don't take action right now, the next century will not be an American one. It will be one dominated by China. So I think it's imperative that we lay out our roadmap of what that next American century looks like, but also lay out a plan to hold them accountable for, let's say, the human rights atrocities that they continue to perpetrate.
Both McCarthy and Hinson are members of the House Select Committee on the CCP. The newly formed committee has held 3 meetings so far, focusing on the CCP's human rights violations and its threat to America. At the retreat in Orlando, McCarthy highlighted the bipartisan nature of the committee.
We're doing it in a bipartisan way. We put this committee together with Hakeem. We kept the size of the committee between Republican and Democrat very close. This is not a place that's going to be partisanship. This is a place that's really thinking, how do we speak with one voice, educate the American people, stop the dependency on China, and stop the atrocities of things that they do.
McCarthy also mentioned that the recent spy balloon situation helped with bipartisan cooperation, with a 100% vote from Congress on a resolution condemning the CCP's use of the balloon. Jason Blair, NTD News.
In more animal-related news, a gray whale recently spotted off the coast of California is being hailed as the miracle whale. This is because it made a migratory trip while missing a very important body part.
When there's a will, there's a way for this gray whale. Despite missing its tail, a migrating gray whale just kept swimming. It persevered and continued its migratory trip from its feeding grounds in Alaska to its breeding grounds in Mexico. That's a 12,000-mile round-trip migration. This miracle whale was first spotted on March 13th, swimming off the coast of Newport Beach. Whale experts say the injury looks to be several years old and was likely caused by its being tangled in commercial fishing gear, causing it to fall off. But that hasn't stopped this whale from swimming to and from Alaska to Mexico, proving that anything is possible.
Burger chain In-N-Out started rolling out a new catering truck dedicated to the company's co-founder and her love of helping children. The trucks will support the company's charity foundation, assisting children who are victims of child abuse. NTD's Jason Blair has more.
In-N-Out Burger is now offering a new catering truck that exclusively serves mini burgers and fries. Named the Esther Snyder Cookout Truck, a portion of the proceeds from it will support children who have been victims of child abuse. In-N-Out owner Lindsay Snyder posted on Instagram, quote, "The best part about this truck is that in honor of my grandma and her love for helping children, it supports the In-N-Out Burger Foundation's efforts in assisting children who have been victims of child abuse." According to the company's website, the truck is available for children and youth events in Southern California. They require 85 feet of parking space and come self-contained and staffed. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
Latina fashion designer Joanna Hernandez debuted her spring collection during Fashion Week. A-listers came to view her designs as well as to show support for Hernandez's charitable contributions to a local nonprofit. Let's hear from NTD's Jackie Rios, who attended the red carpet event.
LA Fashion Week has just come to an end, but there was another one that took place over the weekend in Beverly Hills. The Dreams Do Come True Glaudy by Joanna Hernandez Spring Fashion Show, presented by City National Bank. Joanna Hernandez is the owner and designer of the brand Glaudy by Joanna Hernandez, with 2 locations in Downey, California and Beverly Hills. Born from humble beginnings, her El Salvadorian parents immigrated to the United States to escape the war. She would accompany her parents to her work at factories for global brands such as Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger. This ignited her passion for fashion, and it resonated with the fashion world. Let's hear from those A-listers who attended.
I tell her friend, you're a pioneer for Latin women. She came out of Compton from El Salvador, and she's been to Paris and Beverly Hills.
We're supporting not just a brand, we're supporting the entire culture, or Latino culture here in LA, and I think that's what we're supposed to do, bring each other up.
I saw some of her products, and she's actually designing 3 for me right now as we speak for my red carpet events and things on my movies.
This looks beautiful. The stuff's really pretty, really feminine.
Those who know Hernandez complimented her giving nature. Hernandez plans to donate proceeds from the show to benefit Empowering Her Institute. The nonprofit provides education, training, and mentorship to girls and young women, giving them the opportunity to learn skills that will help them excel in their futures. She also plans to launch sustainable earrings made from the excess dress fabric to provide job opportunities. Those in attendance showed support for the idea of giving back.
You can be whatever you think that you need to be in order to be successful. But you have to be a contributor, and that's who she is. Not only being successful, but always giving it back to community, and that's her heart and soul.
Hernandez highlighted her support system and all the people around her who helped her succeed.
Having really great friends that support you and help you. Like all the women in my show, from the models to the production, they're all women that really want to empower each other. So having a good support group, my family, has really helped, and just never giving up and being fearless.
The powerful women there echoed Hernandez.
Having great faith, loving what you do, and then many people come along the way who want to support that dream. So have faith, because things come when you start looking for them.
Glaudy by Joanna Hernandez is highly praised by her peers and clients. She says her designs are made to empower women and men to achieve their goals while feeling fabulous. Hernandez, who recently got engaged, also walked with a new wedding dress design. Jackie Rios, NTD News, Beverly Hills, California.
Now to NTD's Carlos Reyes for an update on sports.
I'm Carlos Reyes, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup.
Shohei Ohtani is expected to earn a Major League Baseball record
$65 million for the 2023 season, including endorsements. According to an annual list published by Forbes magazine, this would make the Japanese two-way standout the highest paid player in the sport. The amount includes the one-year, $30 million contract extension that Ohtani, age 28, signed with the Los Angeles Angels last October as part of an agreement to avoid arbitration. Ohtani is expected to make at least $35 million from endorsements, according to Forbes, up from $6 million in 2021 and $20 million in 2022. The magazine's endorsement revenue estimates showed a substantial gap between Ohtani and his peers. Ohtani, often compared to Babe Ruth because of his ability to pitch and hit at an elite level, led Japan to victory in the World Baseball Classic last week. He will be a free agent after the MLB season. The Angels will take on the Athletics in Oakland when the regular season begins on Thursday. Jaden McDaniels helped make up for the absence of Karl Anthony Towns with a team-high 20 points, and Minnesota won by holding host Sacramento to a season-low 5 3-pointers. Even with Towns given the game off to rest on the second night of a back-to-back, all 5 Minnesota starters scored in double figures, propelling the Timberwolves to a 4th consecutive win. De'Aaron Fox had a game-high 29 points, Domantas Sabonis scored 24, and Harrison Barnes added 19 for the Kings, who lost for the 3rd time in their past 5 outings. Timberwolves 119, Kings 115. Nicholas Batum scored 24 points and Kawhi Leonard added 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists as Los Angeles moved closer to securing a top 6 spot in the Western Conference with a victory over visiting Chicago. Eric Gordon added 22 points as the Clippers won for the 3rd time in their past 5 games. The win came without Paul George, Marcus Morris Sr., and Norman Powell as they were out with injury. Zach LaVine scored 23 points and DeMar DeRozan added 21 for the Bulls, who entered with 5 victories in their past 6 games. Chicago went 2-1 on a West Coast trip. Clippers 124, Bulls 112. Nathan McKinnon and Bowen Bryant each had a goal and an assist as visiting Colorado cruised past Anaheim for its 3rd consecutive win. Valeri Nichushkin, Jack Johnson, and Samuel Girard also scored goals, and Cale Makar added 2 assists for Colorado. Jonas Johansson stopped 29 of 30 shots. Derek Grant scored for Anaheim, which took its 5th straight loss. Anaheim currently has the 4th best odds to acquire the 1st overall pick in the 2023 draft to land projected 1st overall pick Connor Bedard. John Gibson made 39 saves for the Ducks, who finished an 8-game homestand with just a 1-6-1 record to fall to 12, 22, and 3 at the Honda Center this season. Avalanche 5, Ducks 1.
And that is it for today's Sports Roundup. I'm Carlos Reyes. Thank you for watching.
That's all we've got for you tonight, and would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday right here at 8:30 p.m. Also, make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage, and you can find that at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there ready to share with friends and family. And if you could, send us a message please on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, and that's california.today@ntd.com. I'm Bill Thomas, and for all of us here in the newsroom, have a great night.